Who do you have as your 21, Mike?
I have the Indianapolis Colts.
Okay. Well, that's low, but okay.
It is what it is.
Right.
Say what you will, I'm not buying into the quarterback. I think they're still going to find late in the season that, just the experience as a quarterback is going to hit that team hard. I think the injury bug, T.Y. Hilton's been kind of questionable.
He is. Yeah, he pulled a quad or something.
Yeah, so there goes your top receiver. Yeah. And the running game still hasn't proved it much lately. I mean, I know they've been getting the wins, but
that's all it is. Win, just win, baby.
Yeah, and I'm just seeing this as number 21.
Well, I got the Panthers at 21, and I think the arrow may be going up for these boys because, to me, I mean, Kyle Allen just came out of nowhere to do what he did here. I mean. And he seems to really be in tune with Greg Olsen. I mean, they completed the same pass three times in that game. I mean, you've heard me talk a lot about, when we talk about, young quarterbacks. I always talk about a good offensive line, a running game, and a tight end. Well, here we go. Young rookie quarterback, and was the first thing he starts hitting is the tight end. And from what I've been hearing and some of the whispering that's coming out, they feel like they can run more of the offense with Kyle Allen than they could with Cam Newton. As far as some of the down the field throws, they feel like he's a little more precise at throwing those than Cam was. And this Lisfranc things could keep him out a while. And then if you really think you got to find, I mean, granted it's one start. Nobody has any film on the kid. But if this kid turns out to be what they're hoping he can be, you got a big question to ask yourself at the end of the season. You can let Cam go and save $6 million. I mean, if you think he's just damaged goods and never going to be the former MVP of the league or anywhere close to that anymore, this may be a decision you have to look at. But following Kyle Allen the rest of the year and see if he progresses or not, that's going to be one of the fun things to look at.
And that $6 million can very, very well get passed around through the whole.
It don't buy too many players, does it?
Yeah, no,
maybe
but
one.
Yeah,
one.
But at least it's something, versus not having the money. My number 20th is Oakland Raiders.
Okay.
Jacobs last week was fighting a bug. He lost over 10 pounds. So he wasn't really healthy last week. I mean, granted, the Raiders did play. They went to Kansas City. They went to Minnesota. I mean, those are playoff bound teams.
Yep.
I mean,
but that kid seems to, he seems to have a pretty good yards per carry against no matter what team they're playing. I just think they need to give him the ball more.
Right, and they need to work on the offensive line to not just for the running game, but also to protect the quarterback. Carr is a good quarterback. He had a really good year. Then he got hit with the injury bug. But, think about the talent. The beginning of the year, they're supposed to say, okay, we got Antonio Brown and somebody on our team. We're going to be. Then last 40 hours before the game, they release them. So now the wide receivers are kind of like, okay, how do we do this?
Right.
I'm saying the Raiders will come back.
You think?
I think they'll come back and they'll get the wild card.
Wow, that's a bold prediction. 20, I got one of my biggest disappointments for this year. I've got the Atlanta Falcons 1-2. I mean, they just lost to the Colts 27-24, but they should be back to winning this week because they're playing Tennessee Titans. But, man, when you look at all the talent, this team's 1-2. Hello, what's up here? I mean, seems like some of the problems they had last year with some of the timing and stuff with the wide receivers is carried over this year. I mean, where's the big plays to Calvin Ridley that you saw last year early on? I haven't been seeing that. But like you stated before, Julio Jones got paid, so he seems to be producing again.
Yeah.
But they don't seem to be as strong running the ball. To me, they just don't seem to be as physical as they need to be on offense, but I've been saying that for years. And that's why I have them ranked where I have them, because I think they're really, really disappointing when you look at how much talent is on that roster, especially skill position guys. The wide receivers. I mean, if you just want to come out there and just play air raid, you got the wide receivers to do that. I mean, your third or fourth best wide receivers is definitely better than any defense's fourth cornerback. But I don't know. But I see them as underachiever, and that's why I got them at 20. Who do you have at 19, Michael?
I have the Atlanta Falcons.
Okay.
To touch on what you had, Matt Ryan having, 6 interceptions, 2 a game pretty much?
Yeah.
And that's not like him. He's not been, the Matt Ryan of I don't know if it's just age or what, but, Julio Jones steps up once he gets, it seems like every time he gets a contract extension, he steps up his game, gets paid. I was watching the Eagle game against the Eagles, and the Falcons, their defense brutally beat up the Eagles, and then you lose the next day to Indianapolis, and nothing to give around the Colts. It's just the Falcons are just Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. You don't know what team's going to show up. It's going to be an air raid, cool, or it's going to be a sloppy, intercepted game. And I almost want to say, during the offseason, if Matt Ryan still has those interceptions, I still look as a backup, trying to get a backup just to kind of maybe put the fire in it, because he's had a safety net all his life. He's never had to worry about backup. So maybe
breathing down his neck, but
yeah,
it's hard to find those guys.
But maybe that's what he needs. Maybe he needs to say, hey, you know what? I could be replaced. Maybe I need to step it up more. Or
Montana had his best years after they brought in Steve Young.
Yeah.
So maybe if you're the Falcons, you call up Dolphins and see what they want for Josh Rosen. But
that's why.
Here's the thing about those picks: are those Matt Ryan or are those wide receivers running the wrong routes? We don't know. We're not in that huddle, but yeah. It's definitely an issue.
Right.
They're not on the same page.
And if he throws in more, it's going to be more of a, it'll be coming out, he'll throw more interceptions and touchdowns, and that's when Atlanta will start talking like, hey, what are we doing?
Yeah.
But that's how I have them at number 19.
With 19, I got the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, they're coming off a pretty impressive win, 20-7 over the Titans. Looks like they should keep the ball rolling this week as they play the Broncos. But right now, it's all about the stash, man. Gardner Minshew, 6th round draft pick out of Washington State. He is the talk of the town. He's got a little mania going on around there. The cool looks and wearing the jorts and all the stuff that he does. But what a find, though. Hey,
yep.
6th round pick, but Mike Leach, he is definitely knows how to find good college quarterbacks. So let's see if this one can be different and be a good NFL quarterback. He seems to be making the right decisions right now. The game doesn't seem to be too big for him at the moment, but there again, who's really prepping for him. But the Jaguars, I still think they got enough on that defensive side of the ball to be very salty and stout. So I think they can beat the Broncos and get their record pulled up to even, 2-2. But that's who's my number 19 pick. Who do you have as your 18th pick, Michael?
I have the Chargers.
Okay, they are underachieving. Yes,
losing back-to-back games. The thing is, they do it again. They're up, and then they just cannot.
They just lost 2 in a row, didn't they?
To lose to the Detroit Lions one week, and then they lose the next week. I mean, what? And this was supposed to be, everyone's on and when they're predicting the AFC West, like, okay, it's gonna be Kansas City, it's gonna be the Chargers.
Yeah.
Everyone else, nothing. And if I really had to bet money, and if I had to choose in that division, I'd actually pick it would be the Chiefs and the Raiders.
Wow.
And because just they're unperforming. Just everywhere, every shape and form, they're just not producing. They're scoring the points, but then they kind of take her off third, fourth quarter, or Philip Rivers, he's still competitive, but it takes 52 other men to win that game.
Yeah, I don't think Rivers is the problem there. I don't know what the problem is there, the Chargers, but yeah, it's a shock for them to be in this position. But there's 13 more games to go. Certainly enough time to turn it around. Finish strong. My 18th, I've got everyone's preseason darlings. I've got the Browns. I mean, just first word that comes to my mind when I think of those boys is just disappointing, underachieving, celebrity wannabes more than grinded out football players. I think their offensive line's a mess. I mean, trading for Olivier Vernon for Zeitler, I think they really underestimated what Kevin Zeitler meant to that team, to that offensive line. I mean, Baker is just, he's holding the ball a long time. Don't know if that's because he's not reading it right or receivers aren't getting open. But if this continues, they're going to have to start moving the pocket and stuff. I think he's looking to make the big play more than just taking what they're given. And I think that's because I saw every pass he ever threw in college. And I think, from watching him his junior year, he did a lot of this early on. He pressed a lot. Mm-hmm. And they, Lincoln Riley had to get in his head and look, take what they give you, quit forcing, trying to make big plays. And he did that his senior year. Of course, they won the Heisman Trophy. But, I have those boys at 18. Who do you have as your 17th pick?
The New Orleans Saints.
Really? Man, I can't wait to see your top two. There's a lot of good teams you have ranked pretty low, but let's hear it.
The reason why I picked them is because they are hosting the Dallas Cowboys this week, and I don't think they're going to pull this one off. They did good, surprising everyone to win in Seattle, but I'm just not feeling it yet. Maybe this game against the Cowboys might shock me or something, but
it's gonna be a frenzied atmosphere there. I mean, you got the Cowboys coming to town. You got Sunday Night Football. You're the last game on of the day. That's going to be a big one. And Cowboys can't keep reading their press clip because their defense just isn't playing good enough. So probably going to look for a big scoring fest on this one.
And so who do you have?
I've got another disappointing team. I've got the Eagles. I don't know what's happened. Last week I had them ranked in the top 10. Then after they lost to the Lions, I'm like, okay, something's not right here in Whoville, and they need to get it figured out, whatever it is. I mean, I understand they're pretty beat up right now with the injuries and stuff, but there's still a lot of talent on that team. I mean, where's Fletcher Cox? Where's his dominating self been? The defense just doesn't look like the Philadelphia Eagles defense. And I understand, okay, we have to go out there. We got to play some ball control. Can't get in a scoring contest with somebody or a track meet because we don't have the weapons to, because our weapons are injured. Okay, I can understand but they're not really trying to pound the ball a lot with Howard and those guys. So
I mean, they definitely have had the injury bug.
Yeah, I mean injuries, but still, this team was supposed to have all this depth, and I didn't know Deshaun Watson meant so much to him, but and him and Sproles are hurt, but I still look for them to get better at some point. At least you think so. Remember, I picked these guys to be the NFC East champions.
Mm-hmm.